The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Open, the one and only show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world right to you. I'm your host, Daren Jaime, and today we'll update you on what's happening in and around our borough as well as across New York City. Coming up on our show, suicide, the leading cause of death in America. We'll discuss how the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention is dedicated to saving lives and bringing hope to those who are affected by suicide. Then afterwards, we'll talk about how one organization is providing residential and community-based services to disabled survivors of domestic violence. And then we'll learn about a program helping students build skills for success. We'll give you some more details about that later on in the show. And then finally, we'll discuss virtual reality and how it's already making a difference for a range of industries. So we encourage you to stay tuned because all this and much more is heading your way. Right now, we are open. And hello, everyone, and welcome to Open. Today is Wednesday, February 2nd, and you're watching Open, a live and interactive program that brings the Bronx and New York City right to you. We also want to thank our viewers who are watching with us on Manhattan Neighborhood Network as Open is being broadcast live simultaneously on the MNN channel across New York City. And then we also encourage you to stay connected to us. How do you do that? Well, we have our social media platforms at BronxNet TV, and then also our website at bronxnet.org. Well, some things have been going on through the course of this past week. We'll take you through some of them with our Bronx updates. We start off with city news. New York City Mayor Eric Adams announcing the NYPD will soon roll out its new plainclothes unit as part of a crackdown on illegal guns, which is targeting 30 of the city's most violent precincts. Now, the neighborhood safety teams will replace the public safety teams in various precincts and will be a hybrid unit of cops who will cruise around in unmarked cars, but be required to wear badges and body-worn camera. Now, neither the NYPD or City Hall has provided a start date for the new units. The memo does say the cops will have to undergo various types of plainclothes training, similar to undercover narcotics and auto crime training before they actually hit the streets. Well, in other news locally, a smash therapy room is actually making its way in the borough of the Bronx, offering a space, and I should say a distressing space, for people to actually smash items like glass, old electronics, personal items. And if you want more details, our BronxNet reporter Sanji Lopez has more right now.
We all have different ways of dealing with stress, reading a book, taking long walks, and now here in the Bronx, you can rent a room to smash things.
Raise Up is the first smash therapy room to open here in the Bronx, located in the Mott Haven section, offering a de-stressing space for people to smash items like glass, old electronics, and even personal items.
I was going through a breakup in the middle of the pandemic, and I was just looking for a different outlet to release. And I searched and I found a location in Brooklyn. And when I left out that facility, I was like, you know what, our community needs this.
Raise Up was founded by podcaster duo and business partners Matt and Q. And for Q, who grew up in the Bronx, smashing items here is more than just a fun activity. He and his partner hope Smash Therapy at Raise Up can help raise Bronxites in other ways.
We definitely come from a community where we suppress a lot of our emotions and our feelings. My mother always said, speak your mind. You know, she always encouraged me to go for what I want. So I just want to be that light. This space can be that for people in the community to get inspired or just to let out and release.
The ability to bring this to the Bronx and bring this to the Black and Brown community because it's very needed right now in this time.
The space currently has 2 separate Smash Rooms. Rental packages come with full protective gear. The owners hope to use the space for community programming activities in the near future.
We want to have focus groups on mental health awareness and how we can improve, how they can improve that. We want to also have, trained doctors come in and really talk to people on how they can uplift their mental health in addition to coming and smashing things. We're also thinking about massage therapy as an adjunct to this as well.
Me being a Bronx native, I felt my duty was to bring the business to the Bronx to help out the community and provide a therapeutic outlet.
Raise Up is located at 133 Lincoln Avenue in the Bronx. To find out more information, visit raiseup.net and follow them at RaiseUpBX on Instagram. Reporting for BronxNet, Sonji Lopez.
Well, I guess people are having a smash of a time. All right, everybody. Well, listen, we've got more open coming up. Listen, stay with us. We've got more right after this. Welcome back. Suicide is a national health problem and the leading cause of death in the United States. In New York, suicide is the 12th leading cause of death. The American Foundation for Suicide Prevention is a voluntary health organization giving those affected by suicide a nationwide community empowered by research, education, and advocacy to take action. Joining us now to share more details is a lost survivor at AFSP National Chapter Leadership Council, Dionne C. Monsanto. And we thank you, Dionne, for joining us. And as we talk about the issue of suicide, a lot of people, especially in our community, have been gripped by the death of Ian, the son, I should say, of actress Regina King. Talk to us a little bit about how suicide has really taken this emerging growth across our United States.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. What I have to say, and of course, my loss goes out to anyone that loses anyone to suicide. So right now, currently on our hearts is Ian and Regina King. It is something that is not spoken about enough. And this is why when we do a lot of our communications, we talk about bringing it out of the darkness. We have out of the darkness walks. And there's so much shame and stigma associated with any death by suicide that people won't talk about it. And you can't heal what's in the darkness. And it has to come out so it comes into the light. We're dealing with our mental health issues, dealing with our physical health issues, and helping people see that their mental health is a part of their physical health. So it is a physical crisis. And suicides can be prevented if we're really clear on learning about what we are looking for. What are the signs? So it's the organization itself, national organization, was founded, if I remember correctly. And as you stated, leading a private organization that is a nonprofit that focuses on the research. So you're taking actual research and studies and taking doctors and funding the research to get an understanding of what's different. And some of the things that we've learned is that the brains and function and form of a person that dies by suicide is actually different. That 1 in 5 people do have a mental health challenge that they may be dealing with that may or may not be diagnosed. So if we have people that are living in the world, we're in a global pandemic, things are particularly challenging and stressful. And if we're not dealing with our mental health in a really active, engaged way, when crises come up, there's a convergence of things that happen, environmental things that happen, health things that may happen. Maybe you have a history of suicide in your family. Maybe you have a history of depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, and all these things that we don't talk about. I often share that until prior to my personal loss, I was not aware of the various mental health history and challenges in my family. So these are things that we all need to talk about and be aware of. Like right now, Daren, if I were to ask you who in your family has high blood pressure, who has diabetes, who has cancer, you would run that off without thinking about it.
Right, right, right. And I would miss probably if you asked me the question about mental health and mental illness, it may not be the first thing that actually comes to mind. So walk me through this, because a lot of people do miss, and they do miss simply because not noticing warning signs, not noticing some of the risk factors involved. So talk to us about what are some of the warning signs that an everyday person could possibly miss in the life of someone else. I think about the conversation that was had earlier when we talked about Ian and Regina King, and media went back and looked at some of his social media posts, and they seemed to be rather positive, like he was looking forward to a great career, but yet and still he takes his own life. So there's some warning signs that possibly could be missed.
Yes, thank you for asking that. So what we do, and I'm going to link it to an education, because what I will say now will be a soundbite, but we do have a much longer education. We, as in the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, we have a training called Talk Saves Lives. And in a part of that training, we really go into it in depth. But the shorter aspect of what you're looking for is people that are having thoughts of suicide, experiencing suicidal ideation. They express that generally in 3 different ways. It'll fall into talk, behavior, or mood. So someone that's considering suicide could casually say like, oh, they'll talk about it. And they might say it directly. They might make a joke like, oh, I should just kill myself. So if someone makes a joke about ending their life, you should take it seriously. Even if they're mentioning things like, oh, we have a language around certain things that is sometimes negative and harsh. So if somebody says something like that, and I've experienced this with someone in a godchild posted on social media, I just want to end it all. Like, what do you mean? And then they say, oh, I was just joking. Let's talk privately. I want to understand why you would use those words. So having a private conversation. And then behavior. If somebody loves dancing and they stop dancing, somebody loves sleeping and they're not sleeping, if the behavior, as you know that person, is changed drastically, if you have someone that's uncommonly happy to being uncommonly sad, someone that's extremely talkative that becomes silent, if they're isolating from others. So if something different in their mood, in their behavior changes, something that it's a signal. So there's talk and there's behavior, and then their mood. If there's suddenly, I'm a talkative person, I'm a smiley person. So if someone sees me and it's like, you're really quiet, that would be a distinctive change in terms of me. Why are you so quiet? How come you're not going to dance class? How come you're not going to yoga? What's going on? You've been different than you normally are. So It's not any one thing. Research has shown there's no one reason that someone ends their life. It's generally a combination or a convergence of different things. But for us, as the person outside, what we'll notice is differences in what they say, difference in how they behave, and their mood. So talk, mood, and behavior. And some things can be very subtle. They can be very subtle, but there's also this gut feeling. We as adults have lived long enough to been in situations where you feel like something is off. So when you get that little twinge, trust your gut and go like, only because it's you and I speaking, I'll say, Daren, it's like, Daren, you haven't been yourself lately. I haven't seen you around. We haven't gone out. What's going on? I mean, maybe everything's okay. I just want to check in on you and find out what's going on because you just haven't been yourself. And it
A
could be
check-in can
nothing.
make, right. But a check-in can be all the difference, you know, in the world. And when we look at statistics right now, the statistics are quite alarming. And for our viewers, you know, when we look at New York suicide, the 12th leading cause of death, the second leading cause of death for ages 10 to 34, the fourth leading cause of death for ages 35 to 54, ninth leading cause of death for ages 55 to 64, and the 18th leading cause of death for ages 65 and older. So this is something that is becoming more prevalent in our society. And I know, Dionne, you talked a little bit about yourself being a loss survivor, but walk us through your experience. I mean, did you really miss warning signs, or was it something that you possibly saw, but you ignored? How did it go for you?
Thank you so much for asking that. I always struggle when I'm speaking about suicide as a whole to share my personal story. I lost my daughter, teenage daughter, and you did mention her statistic in terms of it being the second leading cause of death for young people. She was 15 years of age, and there were things that I saw and I didn't fully understand. So I would like to believe that with the education and the awareness that I have now, almost 11 years later, there were things that I wasn't aware of. Something that we have in our larger Talk Saves Lives presentation talks about people giving away precious items, things that are really important to them, or calling to say farewell, or calling to say, you know, or thanking you. If I say, Daren, so specifically with my daughter Seaway, she had a dress. She had this phenomenal dress that she begged me for. And you know, moms, it was like, you're a teenager. Why am I spending $80 on a dress for you, right? We're going back over 10 years. It's a lot of money for a teenage girl. Your body's gonna change. I'm like, $80? And she lobbied and she pitched and she was at all the reasons. You can wear it 10 different ways. I can wear it at this and I can do it at that. And da da da. Even as I'm speaking to you, I see a picture of her behind my laptop that she's wearing this dress. But she gave me that dress before she died. And I looked at her. I'm like, why are you love this dress? And she's like, Mommy, you know, my room is a mess and you'll know where to find it. I was like, really smart on her feet with a response. And we're like, oh, you're going to know where to find it when I want to wear it. And I was like, oh yeah, because that room is something. So you're right. So I took it. I still haven't worn it. We're about the same size. And I put it away in my closet. And it was a long time later before that even came up, as she did give me something special. And when we went to clean out her room, because when I love my child, pigsty, horrible, things everywhere, just exploded. Her room was clean. She had cleaned her room. It was organized. Like, so there was a part of her in retrospect, almost 11 years later, that was putting things in order.
Right.
When she left the house, she left her keys. She left certain items, like she was clear she wasn't coming back. But for me, I'd be like, oh, she forgot her keys, right?
Yeah. As you know, it's amazing to think some of the simple things that we can sometimes look past. But let me get an opportunity for you to be able to share, because there are resources available for families. We talked about the warning signs. We talked about this very quickly before we wrap. Please allow people the opportunity to know what resources are quickly available for them if they encounter somebody like this, because sometimes this is something that you just can't handle on your own.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I will say it's not just sometimes. You cannot handle it on your own. You should not keep it to yourself. There is a village of support, even if it's not your personal village. This is a global village. The AFSP is a national organization. We have chapters in all 50 states. And specifically, I started volunteering with AFSP in 2009 after my daughter first attempted suicide. And then I got better about and learning and growing with her. She completed her suicide in 2011, but the walks were helpful. So when you go to the website, you'll see that there's an area to learn about walks. But if you're concerned, the website, the link that I love telling people about the most is Get Help. So if you go to AFSP Get Help, you'll see a link for I'm thinking about ending my life. You'll see a link to I lost someone. There's another link that's for if you're concerned about someone. People think that if they're calling the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, it's only if you're thinking about suicide. But if I'm concerned about someone, that's when you call as well. You'll call and you'll get resources. And since it's a national number, maybe you're watching this and you're visiting someone in New York and you actually live in Atlanta. So you need to know what the resources are in Georgia. You need to know what the resources are in Hawaii, in Puerto Rico, in Wisconsin. You'll go to the website, you can type in your zip. And if you're a loss survivor, such as myself, you can be matched with someone that has experienced a similar loss. We have something called Healing Conversations, and I was trained in that. So now when I go out, I am able to have conversations with people who have had a similar loss. So if someone, using this unfortunate example of Regina King, if she requested support, she would be matched with someone like me that also lost a child. So a parent would be matched with a parent. If someone lost their a sibling. So we try as hard as possible to have a match so you can have a conversation with someone at least 2 years away from their loss to give you some ideas on support. So volunteering with the organization was tremendous healing for me, and then helping and supporting others. Young people, so Talk Saves Lives is one of the training programs. So if you're an ally to the cause, you can learn. And I'm the chair for the education committee for our chapter to deliver these presentations and learn the stats. You can volunteer, whatever skill set you have. There's somewhere in the organization that it's needed, but there's definitive support by going to the website. If you're thinking about suicide, if you're concerned about someone, and if you've lost someone. Survivor Day is a big thing that we do every year, and it's always the Saturday before Thanksgiving. So that would be, I guess, the third Saturday of every November. We have a few hours event with a public speaker, a film, and lots of education where people come together for International Survivor of Suicide Loss Day. And for people that don't come out, even pre-pandemic, we had something that would happen online and that involved different countries' participation. Because internationally, we lose 800,000 people per year, and we know that number is underrepresented.
I got to run here on this one, though, but thank you so much for taking the time, sharing your story, and not just sharing your story, but really giving us the necessary resources and tips. It's something that is underreported, but it's so many people find themselves dealing with this experience. And I want to thank you for taking the time and being with us here, Dionne C. Monsanto. Thank you for being with us.
My pleasure, Daren.
Well, Dionne C. Monsanto, got to thank you so much for taking the time of sharing your story and really being able to help others. As we said, suicide is a number that is rising in our community, very prevalent across America, the second leading cause of death in America. We want people to become more informed. And so as we do that, we want to say, if you want more information, please visit their website at www.afsp.org/NYC, and then follow them on social media at AFSP NYC. Have more show coming up. Don't go anywhere. Open continues right after this.
When taking public transportation, don't touch your phone. Carry hand sanitizer and use it immediately upon leaving the bus or train. Avoid touching your face. If someone is coughing or sneezing, move away. Wash your hands with soap and water as soon as possible. Limit contact with poles. If possible, avoid rush hour. Don't eat or drink on public transportation. Keep your bag off the floor or other surfaces. Avoid directly touching turnstiles. Stay up to date with the latest from your local health department and CDC.
We built a media network for you.
BronxNet TV.
Come learn in your new state-of-the-art studios at Lehman College.
At Mercy College.
And coming soon to the South Bronx in the Hub.
Inspire with your stories, culture, history.
Your Bronx on BronxNet.
Engage with us.
Connect with us at your channels and at BronxNet.tv.
Learn, engage, inspire. BronxNet TV.
From the Bronx
to the world.
BronxNet.
Barrier-free living is nationally recognized as the first fully accessible emergency shelter for survivors of domestic violence with disabilities. Now, through its various programs, they support individuals with disabilities to live dignified lives free of all forms of abuse and violence. Joining us now and sharing more details, we are pleased to have with us on the program the Chief Program Officer at Barrier-Free Living, Cynthia Amodeo, and thank you so much for being with us.
I'm happy to be here with you today.
You know, I have to admit that when you think about domestic violence, we can just think about domestic violence, and I've done a plethora of domestic violence shows talking about domestic violence, but then really never really centering on domestic violence, particularly with those persons with disabilities. And as I can honestly admit, you know, it's something that slipped my mind. I think that it's something that a lot of people sometimes don't pay close enough attention to. So share with us a little bit about just the whole project of domestic violence and those persons with disabilities.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Domestic violence is a very serious issue in the disability community. It's estimated that about 40% of women with disability are at risk of experiencing violence throughout their lifetime. And it's estimated that 50% of deaf women have experienced domestic violence. So this is really a significant issue. And we're really happy to be here and serving this population in New York City as the only domestic violence agency serving the community of people with disabilities and those who are deaf or hard of hearing.
So when you talk about that, talk to me a little bit about how do we service those persons and what's available?
So at Barrier-Free Living, we have 3 programs available. We have our first is Secret Garden. That's a community-based domestic violence program. And there we service everyone within the New York City area who are adults and identify as having disability or those who are deaf or hard of hearing. And the services we offer there are counseling for domestic violence or sexual assault. We do have case management available, for example, for housing or financial matters. We have a legal team for family court issues. We have occupational therapy there as well. And you mentioned Freedom House, which we're very proud of our program, Freedom House. And that's our domestic violence crisis shelter. And that means basically that anyone who's in a severe current DV situation, who's looking for safety, they can call us if we have a bed available and do a screening with us to see if they qualify. And though we're the only fully accessible DV shelter in New York City, we service everyone, regardless of disability status. And we have some unique features in that shelter is that we have a nurse on site to make sure that people receive the medical assistance that they need. And we also have psychiatry available.
Talk to me about COVID, because we know during COVID, we know that everybody was home pretty much, or should have been home. We know that there's also an increase in numbers of people who've actually been affected by domestic violence. What's it been like for you throughout this pandemic? Have you seen an increase in need for services?
Yes, we definitely seen an increase in our community-based program, people seeking help. Some of the ways that people experience violence within the disability community is that they experience social isolation. We've all experienced social isolation during COVID, but when you're compounding that with violence and disability, you're at increased risk of being harmed. Other ways that people have been experiencing violence is belittling based on their disability or maybe made fun of because of what they're experiencing. Not being allowed to access medical care, which is critical during this time to make sure you're healthy and well. But some abusers do not allow people to seek medical care, even if it's virtual. Removing modes of communication from people, such as their walkers or wheelchairs, so they can't actually leave the home. Or if someone's deaf or hard of hearing, removing their communication access so they can't call for help. And of course, all the time, we've always seen a lot of financial abuse.
Yeah, and we know financial abuse is pretty prevalent during this time, and a lot of people are definitely utilizing services, and I'm glad to see that people are utilizing services. Are there any things any main trends that you're hearing from your staff or from people who are actually in the house, some things that maybe we should do?
We're seeing everything It's the same trends we've always seen. It's just at a higher rate and more severe because people are staying in the relationships longer. There is a fear to go into shelter, obviously, because of COVID. But I will say that our shelter is, we take COVID very seriously and it's safe to come. So if you are experiencing violence and you're out there in the world, please call us. There is help. You don't have to stay longer than you need to.
And so for people who want to get housing and get assistance, what is the way for them to be able to reach you, and what's the criteria?
So we do have the third program we have is called Barrier-Free Living Apartments, and it's a supportive housing program for people with disabilities, and we do specialize in people who experience violence. The best way to get in touch with us and see if you qualify for that program is to call our domestic violence hotline, and that's through our Secret Garden program, which I mentioned earlier. And that number is 212-533-4358. And we have a video phone hotline as well for those who are deaf or hard of hearing. And that number is 646-807-4013.
And when we talk about the Freedom House, obviously an opportunity for people to really get a reprieve, if you will. And so how long is the stay period for those persons who come in the Freedom House?
That's a great question. So like I said, it's a crisis shelter. So we always want to make sure that we have room available for people who are in crisis. So the stay is short term. It's 90 to 180 days. So most people stay with us about 3 to 6 months. The majority of people stay on the longer end of that spectrum because of the nature of the work that we do.
And then in addition to individuals, it's not just individuals, it's also families have the opportunity to be there as well?
We service everyone. Men, women who are singles, we serve small and large families. It's all based on the bed availability.
Right. And so as we're looking into 2022, talk to us a little bit about what are your goals and what are you hoping to be able to accomplish as we enter into this new year?
It's really important to us that we're getting the word out about the services that we're offering and people know to access barrier-free living. So interviews like this and doing trainings to increase access, not only at barrier-free living, but throughout the New York City area. That's really important to us. So we really appreciate having this opportunity today.
Well, appreciate the opportunity to be had, that you could be able to come on and share about some much needed services, and definitely for those who are in domestic violence and those who have questions with domestic violence and disabilities. Now they've been connected to a resource. Cynthia, Amodeo, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
I want to let you know that if you want more information, don't hesitate. Please visit the website at bflnyc.org. And then also, you got to go to social media. Follow them on social media at Instagram, BFL_New York. Coming back with more show. Don't go anywhere. Open continues right after this. And welcome back. The Facebook Meta Career Connections program connects local businesses with college-age students for 3-month-long fellowships. Now, the program provides both businesses and students with access to exclusive Facebook training and professional development opportunities. Joining us now and sharing more details, we are pleased to have with us here on the show the Dean of Industry and Talent Partnerships at City University of New York, Lauren Andersen. And then we've got Senior Hunter College, Nalini Ramdeo. And thank you so much for being with us.
Pleasure to be here.
Yes,
thank you. And thank you. So, Lauren, give us a little bit more about this here.
Sure, absolutely. So at the City University of New York, we are committed to helping our students connect to amazing, sustainable careers following their graduation. And one of the things we like to do is help students understand which jobs are available and growing and how the skills that they have might map to them. And so knowing that digital marketing and social media is a growing need for small businesses and businesses in general in New York City, we immediately hopped on the opportunity to work with Meta and Facebook to launch an internship fellowship program to help our students gain additional skills in that area and actually put them into practice in a way that will help them get into jobs. And that's the Career Connections program.
Yeah. Well, Nalini, you're a senior and you've had the opportunity to take part in this program. Give us a take on what your experience has been as you explore technology at a new level.
Yeah, of course. I've gained so much from this program, more than I can ever imagine. It was exactly what I wanted. I learned to use things like Facebook Ads Manager, Hootsuite, Canva, just to create digital content to help my specific non-for-profit, engage with audience and get their whatever they're doing out there to the world for students and board members. And honestly, it was just a really amazing experience. I still have connections with my mentor, Luisa Lopez, who is part of the Latino Social Work Coalition. In fact, she actually even ended up writing my grad school recommendation. So great connections there.
Awesome experience. Lauren, somebody on the outside says, listen, a class really helping somebody with Facebook. Talk to us about the importance and why you feel this class is important, not just for students like Lauren, but for others really to be able to grasp hold of.
Yeah, absolutely. So the generation of students that are graduating from CUNY are all over the map. Folks who are older adult learners, younger learners, and some of them are far more digitally savvy than others. And for those who already are social media natives, live online, they have an inherent skill set, but they might not think about how to apply it to a job or to a career path. And so having a guided, structured process for doing that and learning all there is to know about how a business or a nonprofit can actually leverage those native skills more easily to achieve their goals is really important. And additionally, there's a group of adult learners at CUNY who maybe aren't so familiar with social media and digital marketing skills. And for them, having the opportunity to learn about it in a structured way and then put it into practice is really important.
And speaking of joining the program, Lauren, I know in 2022, it's expanding 5 boroughs, a lot that people have the opportunity to really take part. Talk to us about what we can expect in 2022.
Yeah, absolutely. And one quick note in all of this, the Facebook and Meta partnership around Career Connections is one of a series of programs that we are launching to help CUNY students connect to jobs, Breakthrough Tech being another. And so whether it is this program or many, 2022 is going to bring a lot of opportunities for CUNY students to connect to pathways into careers. In terms of plans for the future, we are still working through what the process is going to be at CUNY to connect to this specific program. But for any interested CUNY students or students who are contemplating participating in a program that will help them connect to a sustaining career, they can go to cuny.edu and just search in the search bar for career success initiatives. And all of our opportunities, including this one, will actually be described there.
Yeah. And so what was it like to really, Lauren, when you look at students and jumping on to taking advantage of this, what was it like? Were people readily enrolling, or was it a struggle to see enrollment? How did it work?
So to give you a sense, I know many of your audience will know this themselves, but CUNY serves about 245,000 degree-seeking students and an additional 200,000 non-degree seeking students. And so the interest in this program was overwhelming. There were a lot of folks who were really interested in connecting the skills that they're learning, the skills they already have, to a way to navigate to a new career. And we are really excited to build on that interest that students have. A lot of students come to CUNY in order to move into great career paths. And so we want to be sure that we're expanding opportunities that allow them to do that.
Yeah. Nalini, you mentioned going to graduate school. What else do you see happening for yourself in the future? And what was the biggest takeaway that you've had from the experience in this program?
Yeah, sure. So I'm actually as I mentioned, in the middle of grad school, but I'm also applying to rotational programs, which are basically small job opportunities that last for a specific amount of time. So I can test the waters in different departments. So I'm not restricting myself to one specific role. And in terms of like what I got out of this program would definitely be all the experience I've gained, merging my computer science background with the business side of things, which is definitely something I'm interested in, not just programming and coding, but also the finance part and the management part of these initiatives.
Yeah. Lauren, for people who are really getting involved in tech is the way to go, and it is the way of the future. I think to have digital opportunity certainly is forward thinking, and not just forward thinking. I mean, it's what's going on in this present day. As you look at students who take part in these programs, as an educator yourself, what are you glancing? What are you coming away with from these students and the experience that they have in being able to take classes such as these?
Absolutely. So you have hit the nail on the head. Tech is growing. Tech is even more so a path that New Yorkers 20 years ago really had some trouble getting into, and now is really expanding, and more New Yorkers are realizing that a tech career can be for them. Over the past 4 years, CUNY has doubled the number of tech bachelor's awards, reflection of more and more New Yorkers are seeing themselves as having a role in the tech sector. They can envision what it is like to move into it, and demystifying some of the skills, whether it be coding or media marketing, that have previously seemed really hard to wrap your mind around. It's becoming clearer that there is a space for everyone in technology and in technology jobs, and that there are a lot of different kinds. And so what we have focused on is trying to think through how we partner with various companies or nonprofit organizations or governments or businesses to be able to outline many different types of careers in technology, and help folks who previously didn't see themselves in those roles get into it by lending a hand and creating a clearer path.
Well, Nalini, experience is the best teacher. So when you look at your experience in this program, talk to us about what you would say to other students about what you've gained as a part of this.
Definitely apply to everything that you possibly can. You really never know what you're capable of until you put yourself out there and try new things. I personally didn't have any experience with digital marketing or communications or management. I kind of, as I said, only had that computer science background with the programming and coding. So this was a really new experience for me, and I totally loved it. So yeah, my advice to them would be, try new things. Don't be afraid of rejection, because, you never know, because you hear a big name like Facebook and you think oh, I can't handle this, or it's too much for me. But as I said, just put yourself out there and try new things.
Yeah. Well, we want to thank you both for joining us. It's certainly a lot of information being shared here. Best wishes to you, Nalini, and the work that you're doing. And hopefully we'll be able to see you out there in the near future. And then also, Lauren, thank you for sharing with us and letting us know a little bit more about this beautiful program. As we said, tech is the way to go.
Thank you for the opportunity. It's been great to chat.
Yes, so lovely to meet you all.
All righty. Well, I want to let you know, for more information, please visit their website, careerconnections.facebook.com, and then also follow them on Facebook at FB Career Connections. We encourage you, don't go anywhere. We do have more open coming up right after this. Welcome back to the show. Well, virtual reality is really going to happen in terms of developing technology, but it's already making a difference in a range of industries. Big brands like Facebook, Sony, paying attention and investing heavily into their own VR products. In fact, innovators are actually trying to use VR and AR in as many useful ways as possible, from gaming to education and even on down to medicine. What does this actually mean moving forward is the question that we've got to ask, and we've got somebody that's going to give us some answers. Joining us now to share more details, we are pleased to have the editor-in-chief of Laptop Magazine, Sherri L. Smith, joining us. And Sherri, as we talk about this here, you know, we see this moving to a new platform, moving to a new way. Give us where we are today.
You know, we're calling it the metaverse, or Zuckerberg is calling it the metaverse. So I guess we all are calling it the metaverse. It's been around for a while. It's a lot of things it's a lot of things and a lot of nothing at the same time. So it encompasses cryptocurrency. It encompasses virtual reality, augmented reality. It's gaming. It's social networking. It's all the things that we have been doing or are starting to do, brought under one big umbrella.
So you have this under one umbrella, but look at the fact of metaverse for a minute. A lot of people are now becoming more and more familiar. Some people don't even know what metaverse is. So if somebody's watching our show, they've heard about metaverse. Break it down for them in the most simplest terms.
The simplest terms is it's cyberspace. It's basically cyberspace 2.0. So now we're evolving. Before, when the internet really took off and we were talking about GeoCities and Alta Vista, and we were doing chat rooms. Now there are whole ecosystems where you can literally live a virtual life. You have a virtual avatar. We saw it with Second Life. We see it now with things like Facebook. They have their horizons. If you World of Warcraft, if you play MMORPGs like World of Warcraft, where you have this intricate character and you run with the guild and you're questing and you're using in-game, there's literally a economy within this game. You have touched the metaverse.
And so a lot of people are touching into the metaverse, a lot to see and a lot to take a look at. I want to talk for a minute about Oculus, because a lot of people became familiar with that during Christmas time. Some families, you know, understand, hey, we have to take an Oculus break. But talk to us about Oculus. There's some things happening there too.
I'm really excited that Oculus took off the way that it did. From the first prototype that was $1,000, now we're down to an inexpensive, affordable $299. And I was saying it for years, like, in order for people to really embrace virtual reality, that's what needs to happen. Because no matter how I write about it, no matter how many videos I do about it, until you get it on your face and you actually interact, and you're taking a trip to Asia and you're sitting in your apartment in the Bronx or Brooklyn or wherever you are, you really don't understand it. So the fact that it's so affordable and you don't need to be hooked up to a high-powered PC has gotten the Oculus to where it needs to be, in mainstream hands. And I think it's an amazing thing. People are using it for a myriad of things: to socialize, to watch movies with friends, to exercise, or just to game. And there are apps like AltSpace VR where you can go, you sit in there with your virtual avatar and watch a legitimate stand-up comedian perform. You can watch a concert. You can you can do all these. I've had experiences where I've been theoretically courtside at an NBA playoff game. I can't afford those tickets, nor will I probably ever be able to afford those tickets, but I'm magically, because I'm wearing this headset, I am courtside. I've got the best view. It's being caught in 4K, as the kids would say. I'm gonna interrupt and say you gotta put me on that. I gotta learn how to do that. You know, you gotta put me on. Absolutely. Like they're like an Oculus as it was purchased by Facebook, it has one of the biggest and most stable libraries, and it's constantly adding new content, and it has the power of Facebook behind it. So not only is it a place for entertainment, it's a place for social networking. And people laughed about, I'm going to say about 4 years ago, when 2 3 years ago, when Mark Zuckerberg was like, hey, everyone's going to have an Oculus. There's going to be an Oculus in every house, and everyone's like, and now look where we are. They've hit the price point that they needed to hit. They've made it extremely accessible tech wise, and now there's this explosion of people with Oculus now.
Mm. As we're looking right now, I mean, every time we turn around, I think we talk about this iPhone. There's a rumor about the 14 that's coming right around the corner. Any truth to the fact that we can see a 14 probably next year?
I mean, we're always like Apple without a yearly Apple release. Has the year really occurred? So yes, there will absolutely be an iPhone 14. We just don't know when. Typically, like Apple is they're pretty consistent. So typically that announcement comes around September, October time. And with the phone dropping around that late October, early November, so you can get it just in time for the holiday rush. So I don't think that Apple is going to deviate from that. I think we're going to start getting hints about phone specs, or like stronger, more believable rumors towards WWDC, which is Apple's annual conference, and that typically takes place in June. So that's when we're going to be hearing about the new iOS or any updates that they're going to be making. We might hear about other hardware, such as the AirPods Pro 3 that we're waiting for. Like all these things that we're like, that's typically when we start to hear little inklings of what may be. Something that we've been waiting for years now is Apple VR. We're hearing more rumors about that. There are obviously patents in the work, so maybe this might be the year that we see an actual product. I'm not. I personally think that Apple is about 2 years out with it, but I might be wrong. Or they might go and throw a curveball and really double down on AR, because for a while it looked like Apple was going to go for the augmented reality, which is basically the easiest example that I can give is Pokemon Go. So when you switch to AR mode, now your little Pokemon is actually in your house or wherever you are. You're throwing your little Pokeballs. But Apple is finding a way was working on a way to do more with that than gaming, because augmented reality is a really cool technology where you don't necessarily need a headset, and it just overlays this virtual interface in the real world. So it's a really fun and really it can be really useful if put with the right applications and put with the right hardware to make it accessible.
A lot to take a look at when it comes to Apple, always keeping us on our toes in terms of looking out for something. I mean, that's just how Apple does it. But I want to be able to, before we wrap up, talk a little bit about yourself, because I know that you work with a not-for-profit organization. You've got a very special event that's happening around the corner.
I am a member of the New York Video Games Critic Circle. It is a nonprofit organization that is made up of over 50 New York-based journalists. We work to teach kids in the Bronx specifically, but we are branching out to Manhattan and hopefully Brooklyn soon, fingers crossed, where we teach kids about video game journalism. And we also give internships. We also give scholarships. But our big event that is coming up February 4th is going to be the New York Video Game Critics Awards, where we talk about the game, where we give out awards for the biggest games of 2021. It will be virtual on Twitch, so tune in at 7:00 and enjoy the show.
Got a little bit of time left. Got a couple of days before we hit that day, and congratulations to you. Real quickly, we got a couple of seconds left. What should we be looking out for in this kind of like first quarter of 2022? I know a lot of people. I got to hit you up, because look, people ask me. I'm asking you.
So much. So CES wrapped up, and we've got there are so many laptops coming. Intel just announced new chips, as did AMD, as did NVIDIA. So I just reviewed the first gaming laptops, the Alienware X17R2 and the MSI GE76 Raider. Please check them out on Laptop Mag. These are the first gaming laptops that have Intel's new 12th gen Outer Lake chips, very powerful, and they also have NVIDIA's new RTX 3080 Ti GPUs. So they're massively expensive. I'm literally sitting between $9,000 worth of laptop right now, but they are ultra powerful and they are setting the stage for what we can expect laptop wise for the rest of 2022. So I'm very excited about that. And I haven't even gotten my hand on the AMD systems yet, but this is really going to be a great year for laptops, whether you're a content creator, whether you're a gamer, whether you're a mobile professional, or whether you just want to watch, you just want to stream some Netflix. It's going to be a great year for laptops.
So a lot to look forward to, and certainly I know that you've got your hands full doing some reviewing and letting people know exactly what's going on. So thank you for giving us a little bit of the inside scoop and the work that continues to do. It looks like it's going to be an exciting 2022. Would you agree?
Absolutely. There's so much on the horizon. PSVR, stay tuned for that. PSVR 2, stay tuned for that. Stay tuned. There's rumors of another Oculus. There's a lot going on. So I will have a lot to tell you this year.
Yeah, we might be in the midst of COVID, but there are a lot of things happening in the world of video and technology, and we want you to stay connected. Thank you, Sherri, so much for being with us, and glad to have you here once again.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
But listen, she's not giving us everything here. You got to find out more about her. And how do you do that? Well, you can find out for more information. Visit the website, laptopmag.com. There, she and others go more in depth, and also follow her on social media at Laptop Mag. Well, unfortunately, we've come to the end of our show today, but want to thank all of our guests for joining us, and most of all, you for watching. Now, if you missed any part of our show today, don't hesitate to catch the Recablecast on BronxNet's Channel 67. If you have Verizon Files, that'd be Channel 2133, or anytime on the web at bronxnet.org. And of course, if you want a brand new episode, come on back on Friday morning. My girl, Rita Valentine, she'll bring you the best in arts as well as entertainment, and then give you the update as to what's happening in the COVID struggle. Well, for all of us here on this Wednesday Open, I am Daren Jaime saying take care, God bless, and most of all, keep this channel wide open.